a break to the ride. I guess it has a break to the left. I should have known it was you. Hey, look, I have a great idea. Why don't you join me in the News Reporters Golf Tournament next month?
Oh, I'm afraid that would be cheating.
Oh, they play golf on Mars?
They used to, but they had to give it up when we discovered the powers of levitation. Everyone shot a par 18. That ball return is the most interesting gadget. Do you mind if I examine it?
Be my guest. What happened?
I don't know.
Oh. Maybe your finger didn't get enough sleep last night.
Well, it never happened before. That's more like it.
Yeah, maybe you ought to check it for a hangnail.
I've just detected a huge sunspot on my coelostat. Yes, magnetic polarities are all mixed up. Far more severe than the spots of 1958. It's really going to play havoc with communications everywhere. You better give the usual warning to all communications agencies. No telling how long this group will last or how bad they may get. I'll keep you posted.
These Martian hands weren't designed to use your primitive Earth tools.
Did you hurt yourself?
I scraped my knuckles. You know, back home, we have nails that drive themselves. I'm sorry I messed up one of your handkerchiefs.
Forget it. Get it out. Come on, Uncle Martin, cut it out.
Cut out what?
Fooling around with the typewriter.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I'm talking about that. Now, will you stop using your Martian levitation powers?
I'm not.
Well, maybe you're doing it with your elbow. Now, Uncle Martin, look, I am in the middle of an assignment. This is no time for a practical joke.
Believe me, whatever is happening by itself.
Do you know that you look like a walking junkyard?
I fail to find any humor in that.
Well, now what are you doing?
Nothing. My coveralls seem to have become magnetized.
Well, now you can't magnetize cloth.
You can when the base of the thread is a metal.
Well, it looks like your coverall doesn't. Coverall. Huh. Well, why did you insist on burning the coverall?
Well, no matter how remote the possibility, I cannot take the chance of someone discovering I'm from another planet. Unless I destroy them, someone just might find them and wonder where the material came from.
You have no idea how they became magnetized?
No, something must have set up an electrical field that magnetized the Martian metal in the fabric.
Well, you can always buy another pair of coveralls.
Not like these. They were practically new. I only had them 175 years.
175 years?
Yes, and they were hand-me-downs from my father. But that's all right. I've got another pair in the spaceship.
Uncle Martin, now you cut that out. Do you want someone to see you?
That's the last thing I want. I can't get down.
Well, something must be wrong.
That's an astute observation.
Uncle Martin, now you stop lying there. Do something.
I can't. I can't get my legs to go down.
Oh, well, maybe I can help, huh? How's that? Better? How do you feel now?
Fine.
Oh, that's good. That's good.
My pulse is 218, and my temperature is 131. I'm normal.
How do you account for spending almost 10 minutes in midair?
I haven't the slightest idea.
Come in.
Anybody home?
Oh, no, Mrs. Brown. We left about 5 minutes ago.
Oh, Tim, you're always spoofing. Oh, say, if you have a minute, I'd like to try something out on you.
Another cake?
No, not this time. You know, you never did tell me how you liked the pie I made you last week.
Hey, that was different. What was it?
Cherry chicken. Wasn't it delicious?
I never got anything like that back home.
But what can we do for you?
Well, with all the time I've had on my hands lately, I thought I'd put it to some practical use. I'm going to sell insurance.
Well, I think that's a wonderful idea.
I've worked up a little sales pitch to use on potential customers, and I'd like to try it out on you.
Hey, go right ahead, Mrs. Brown.
You know, I've always heard that honesty is the best policy. But it isn't. Insurance is the best policy. The manual says to start out with a little joke.
You've succeeded.
Now, are you ready for the sales pitch?
On your mark. Get set. Sell.
Well, you're supposed to ask me which is the best policy for you.
Which is the best policy for me?
I have no idea. Just a moment, I'll check. Well, it seems to depend on a lot of things.
Like what?
Well, for one thing, whether you're a man or a woman. Now, let's make it a hypothetical case, and let's say you're a man.
All right, for argument's sake, let's say Tim's a man.
Now, the policy you should consider is an endowment with a clause to convert it to whole life, unless term insurance is required to protect the present, and 20 pay life can be used in conjunction with future premiums, excluding dividends. Well, that's the whole thing in a nutshell. Oh, did I do a convincing job?
Yes, Mrs. Brown, I think you covered just about everything.
Oh, fine. Now, how much insurance do you want?
Yeah, well, I'm fully covered by insurance to the newspaper. I'm covered right up to here.
Well, don't you want to cover the rest of you?
Uncle Martin isn't covered.
Thanks a lot.
Oh, well, now, what kind of insurance would you be interested in?
Oh, a policy that would protect me from insurance salesmen.
Oh, there you go, spoofing again.
Mrs. Brown, you're a born saleswoman. Just leave the forms and I'll fill them out.
Oh, fine. Well, that's the second policy I've sold today.
Who bought the first one?
I did. Well, I must be going. A bulb blew out, and I have to run down to the store and buy a new one.
Oh, well, we have some extra bulbs.
Oh, and I'll get you one so you don't have to make a special trip.
Oh, that'd be wonderful. Oh, did you find a bulb?
No, I couldn't find any.
Funny, I'm sure we have some.
Oh, men can never find anything. It's probably in the closet. I knew I could find one. Thank you. You won't forget to fill out the application.
No, I'll mail it in. I'll mail it in.
Oh, fine. Thank you, and bye.
Whatever it is, you're awfully nice to read by.
Who would have thought that I would wind up as a floor lamp? I wish I knew what was wrong.
Uncle Martin, look, I'm getting a little worried about you. I think maybe you better see a doctor.
I think it would be more appropriate to see an electrician.
Now, look, you admit yourself that there is something wrong with you. Now, why are you being so stubborn about going and seeing a doctor?
Whatever's wrong with me is beyond the scope of your physicians here on Earth.
Are all Martians as stubborn as you?
No one on Mars is stubborn. You will not find the word stubborn in the Martian dictionary. And if you don't mind, I'm trying to watch the program.
Then what do you call it?
Call what?
Your attitude.
I'm merely applying logic. I'm from another planet. And although my physical structure is much the same as yours, there are certain metabolic processes which are totally dissimilar. They require highly complex diagnosis far beyond the realm of your primitive physicians. Therefore, it would not be logical for me to consult them regarding my problem. Do I make myself clear?
Yes. You're stubborn. Now, Uncle Martin, will you just please do it for me?
Tim, it's useless.
Well, you talk as though it'd kill you.
Tim, if for 1 minute I thought that they could help, I would do it.
Oh, something's wrong with the television set.
Tim! Tim, I'm shrunk. I'm nothing but a sample.
Oh, my gosh. I told you to see a doctor.
Well, do you know a witch doctor? One who specializes in shrunken goods?
Uncle Martin, can you make yourself any bigger?
No, I'm trying.
I thought Martians could do everything.
I'm worried. I never had this problem before. I wonder what's going to happen next.
You can stop worrying. It happened.
What?
You're gone.
You're right. I am. And I can't make myself reappear.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have just received information from Mount Palomar Observatory that due to an extremely heavy bombardment of sunspots, communications have been interrupted. Please forgive the interference in the video part of our program.
Sunspots. That's what's playing havoc with my metabolism.
Well, is there any way you can counteract them?
On Mars, yes. On Earth, no.
Well, how long do sunspots last?
They can last for a few days or weeks or months. And there was one extreme case that lasted 112 years.
Uncle Martin, I'm afraid I can't wait that long. Uncle Martin.
Yes, Tim.
Did you check with the observatory again?
Same old thing. The sunspots are continuing without any sign of a let-up. The Earth is closer to the sun than Mars is. That's why I must be so susceptible.
Well, don't worry, Uncle Martin. I'm sure you'll come back again soon.
I hope so. It's making me nervous. It's been 4 days now that I've been looking into a mirror and nothing looks back. Perhaps the sunspots will stop soon. As soon as they do, I'll reappear.
You know something, Uncle Martin? Right now, I'd rather see you than Elizabeth Taylor. I'll get it.
How do you do? I'm the field representative for the Southern Mutual Life and Accident Company. Mrs. Brown wrote a policy on Martin O'Hara. Are you Mr. O'Hara?
Oh, well, I'm Tim O'Hara.
Oh, his nephew, the beneficiary. Well, my name is Stone, William Stone, and I make a practice of personally welcoming new policyholders into the company. Is your uncle home?
Well, yes, he is.
May I see him for a moment?
No, you can't. Yeah, I mean, no. Well, he isn't home, that is.
Is he or isn't he?
He isn't.
Do you know where he is?
Well, I haven't seen him for a few days.
Is he in town?
Oh, he is. He's in town.
Well, when can I see him?
He isn't in town.
Well, first you say he's home, but he isn't at home. Then he's in town, but he isn't in town. I just don't understand.
Well, you see, he's out of town. On business.
Well, that's peculiar. According to this policy, he's retired.
Oh, well, he's out of town on retirement business.
When do you think he might be back?
Well, he could be back in in 2 or 3 minutes. And then again, I may not see him for 2 or 3 months.
2 or 3 months. Or longer.
That's possible.
Well, thank you for your time. You've been most helpful.
I think he's suspicious.
I know, but what could I do about it? Yell, "You-hoo, here I am"?
I guess you're right. Where are you?
Now, let me see how this sounds. Sir, may I trouble you for a minute? The policy you should consider is an endowment with a clause to convert it to whole life, unless term insurance is required to protect the present, and 20 pay life can be used in conjunction with future premiums, excluding dividends. I think that sounds pretty good. Maybe I can make it a little stronger. Let's see.
Miss Brown!
Oh, come on in. I was just practicing my insurance speech.
Oh, well. I just thought that I would come by and drop off the rent.
Oh, thank you. You know, having you and Martin as tenants is such a pleasure, I almost hate to take this.
Oh, well, in that case.
Oh, well, it's not that much of a pleasure. Oh, I almost forgot to tell you. Somebody's coming to see you.
Who?
The police.
The police?
Yes, they think you killed your Uncle Martin. Isn't that ridiculous?
They think what?
I told Mr. Stone he was wrong. You know the man from the insurance company. But he insisted on reporting to the police that your Uncle Martin was missing. Yeah, but by the way, where is your Uncle Martin?
Oh, away.
You see, I told Mr. Stone he wasn't missing.
I know you told it to me twice, but make me happy. Tell it to me again from the beginning.
Lieutenant Gibson, last time I saw my uncle was 5 days ago, and he up and left.
He didn't pack, didn't take any clothing, didn't tell you where he was going, when he was coming back, and he hasn't called.
That's right.
He never took off like this before. Fella, if I were you, and you were me, and I told you that cockamamie story, would you believe me?
No. Yes, it's true.
Now, what have we here? Looks like a couple of buttons. Yours?
Well, I don't recall ever having seen them.
Well, of course you do, Tim. They're from your Uncle Martin's coverall.
They are. Yes, they are. How observant of you, Mrs. Brown. I didn't notice because they were charcoal broiled.
What are they doing in the barbecue?
Who are you, lady?
That's Mrs. Brown, my landlady.
You rent the apartment to Mr. O'Hara?
Yes, and if he's in any trouble, I'd like to help. Why, he's the nicest tenant I ever had.
Now, you say these buttons came from coveralls that belonged to Mr. Martin O'Hara?
I know them like I know my own name. Mrs. Brown.
That's her name, all right, Mrs. Brown.
Now, Mrs. Brown, I'd like to talk to you when I finish with Mr. O'Hara. Could you wait around a few minutes, please? You and your uncle got along well?
Oh, yes. Yes, as a matter of fact, we were very close.
Oh, I can vouch for that. Why, they were closer than close. In fact, it was Tim who insisted that Martin take out that insurance policy.
Oh, he did?
That's why Martin made Tim the beneficiary. Now, you know you've got to be close to do that.
Now, you say you and your uncle got along well. No disagreements?
No.
No fights?
No fights.
I'll back him up on that. You see, I live in the house right in the front, and they are the nicest, quietest tenants I ever had. And I can tell you they never had a single fight.
No arguments?
Never. Oh, well, just that one time, but, oh, it wasn't even worth mentioning.
Well, mention it anyway. When was that?
Oh, about 4 or 5 days ago, but, oh, it was nothing, really.
That was just about the time Martin O'Hara disappeared. What were they fighting about?
Oh, they weren't fighting. No, Tim was pleading with Martin to do something or other. Oh, but I'm sure it was nothing harmful. In fact, I distinctly heard Tim assure Martin that it wouldn't kill him.
Mrs. Brown, please.
Well, I'm just trying to help you.
Oh, I don't need it.
Let her help you. Let her help you. Initials. T.O. Yours?
I guess so.
If these stains are blood, they better be yours, too.
As a matter of fact, That's not my blood.
Whose blood is it?
Then it was Mr. O'Hara's idea for his uncle to take out the insurance.
Well, yes and no.
What do you mean, yes and no?
Well, yes, if I have to tell the truth, and no if I don't have to.
You have to.
Yes.
Thank you, Mrs. Brown.
Well, that's another nail on my coffin. You know, I'm beginning to feel less and less confident about acting as my own attorney.
Don't worry. With me here, it's the same as having Clarence Darrow sitting next to you.
Right now, I would trade in one Clarence Darrow for one live in-the-flesh Martian who couldn't talk his way out of a traffic ticket.
Mr. O'Hara, I'm trying to conduct a hearing.
I'm sorry.
Lieutenant Gibson, one of the items in evidence was a blood-stained handkerchief.
Yes, sir. The police laboratory checked out the blood type, and it definitely was not that of Tim O'Hara.
Well, I've covered enough of these things to know I'm really in a lot of trouble.
I've never covered one before, but I'm prone to agree with you.
Please, Mr. O'Hara, you'll have ample time to talk later. Meanwhile, I will not stand for any further disturbance.
Sorry.
Better be careful. They'll begin to wonder about you.
Hey, maybe that's it. Maybe I could plead insanity.
Tim, this has gone far enough. I'm afraid I'll have to tell them the truth.
Huh? What? What do you mean, tell them the truth?
I will not jeopardize your life. I shall tell them I'm a Martian.
You can't do that. Besides, they wouldn't believe you.
I'll tell them how I landed here, and I'll explain how the sunspots have made me invisible.
Now, just 1 second. I'm not going to let you do that. I mean, I know how much this means to you, and besides, this condition is only temporary.
Is he off his rocker? Mr. O'Hara, will you please stop talking to yourself?
No! Yes, I'm sorry.
Gentlemen, there is something you should know.
Gentlemen, there is something that you should know.
Now, Tim, let me speak.
Yes, now, Tim, let me speak. Speech the speech, I pray you. Let the words fall.
No time for games. I've got to tell the truth.
Yeah, I've got to tell the truth. The whole truth and nothing but the truth. Abraham Lincoln said that.
Tim.
Yeah, Abraham Lincoln, yes, one of our greatest presidents. He took this country through perilous times.
Oh, that poor dear boy. You awful men have driven him out of his mind.
I don't know whether he's putting on an act or not, but we've got to schedule a psychiatric examination for him immediately. Lieutenant Gibson, you better take him into custody.
It's working, Uncle Martin. Now, look, when they're giving me these tests, maybe you'll reappear. Uncle Martin? Uncle Martin?
I know you're innocent, Tim. I just know it.
Oh, thanks a lot, Mrs. Brown.
You wouldn't hurt your Uncle Martin, even if you killed him.
Uncle Martin, am I glad to see you?
Are you his uncle?
Yes, I am.
Well, we've been looking for you for weeks. Where have you been?
On the freeway. You know those traffic jams.
Mrs. Brown sent this up to welcome us both back.
What did she conjure up this time?
I don't know, but it sure smells delicious. There you go.
Mrs. Brown has outdone herself this time. Pineapple pickle.
Well, I'll get you something else. What do you want?
Oh, cheese and crackers.
Uncle Martin? The sunspots, you're gone again.
I dropped my fork.